Well, good morning. Good morning and welcome to this enterprise design session. This is the rearranged session from last week where we had two sessions, one on Avaya OneSource and another one followed by mid-market. So the plan for today is to spend 90 minutes on creating a design from scratch as new, and then to do another one with an upgrade both to CM7 with session border controller, and also to add Elite and AES in both AVP format and the same with VMware. We'll also take a look at using an ASIC migration, so that would be Nortel, which has got an old Symposium or something of that nature, and also upgrading that to version 6.4. The reason why we're doing that, we've seen quite a few of those now, so there's probably a good reason to go through that. We'll also be looking at adding promotions to a design, and I'll do this from an upgrade point of view, so that's the Engage Now promotion. And then I'll show you how to perhaps get this to level 2. I'll just bring up a slide later on which will show you what the different levels are. And then if we have a bit of time, we'll be also saving and opening from blueprints so we can understand what these are. We do have a fairly hard stop today, around about 1 p.m. For the PCC conference call, but most importantly, I'm being chucked out of the room where I am at the minute for a customer meeting, so we're going to have to finish it at 1. So again, the PCC is on at 2 o'clock this afternoon as well, so that does give you a bit of time for lunch. So I'm going to try and keep the bridge open for this as much as I possibly can. So again, you can ask questions if you want verbally. Just take yourself off of mute to do that, or post questions in terms of the bridge, where my colleague Steve Wood will do our very best to answer any questions that you have on there, or maybe we'll take those to Avaya if we need to. So what I'm going to do, I'll just select present on mine into full screen mode, and then I'm just looking at my colleague screen. Yeah, you can see my desktop, and now you can see the good old Google zone. So what I'll do is I'll just log on to Avaya, avaya.com/ebizu. EBIZN, just for information, is North America. There'll be other ones for APAC and things of that nature. Thank goodness I don't have to do that. And down the bottom you'll see the EBIZ UAT. Now obviously there are different addresses for testing purposes or for real life production systems. So ebizu is the one you want to go to. And then if you've applied for the correct credentials in terms of being able to design rather than single sign-out and access, then you'll have access to all the tabs on the top of the screen. Now, your design access kind of treats you like an engineer in so much that you'll have lead management, which is our PRM view. You'll have most things on this list except the administration at the end there, which is where we do your pricing discounts and things of that nature. What you must do is make sure you're in the correct account number is the best way I'll put it. Just like internet banking, you need to be in the right account in order to see the discounts and prices that Westcon provide you. So you need to be in our discounted price files. For some of you that also do price files in Ireland, you'll see a different account where you can select change and then do Westcon Ireland from that list. Catalogs, I'll just briefly go across these. These are catalogs where our product managers tend to download catalogs. I know we certainly do that, either individually for IP Office or mid-market or for both, or data or whatever. You can pick and choose from that list. Proposals are salespeople tend to go into, things like the proposal suite for the tool then to be able to create you a Word document or a PDF on the particular applications you're supplying. If you're in charge of ordering, where you go to place orders, search for end users, create FL numbers, and so on. Credits ordering you won't see, but licensing you will see. The top one, SMT, is the software management tool. This is taking over, well, let's say taking over. If you go to design quote, the bit we spend our lives in, you'll see something called CSQT, which is where the contracts live. Going across to this new tool under licenses called Software Management Tool is a combination of the contract elements of it. Will replace things like MPA, but it's also taking information from PLDS and RFA and sticking it all in one place for you. So when you're doing a design, you don't really have to rely on what the salesman tells you. Now you can go and check it yourselves via this SMT tool. It is new, so not everything is in there at this stage, but give it a try, give it a play. From an engineering point of view, you'll see below that PLDS, RFA and KRS if you're also in charge of any of the blue systems. It's trying to find out what's on these bits of kit that you're trying to do something with. So we'll be spending our life today in the design quote section, and quite handily this month Avaya's decided that they're going to put Avaya OneSource configurator at the very top, which does help us somewhat slightly. So this is where we'll go into. I will then go into the create section. Below that you'll be able to retrieve by ID, so if you happen to know the EGB number, you can pull one back and then modify it or adjust it and reprice it, add a promo to it, and away you go. Or if you're looking at retrieving all criteria, and that will give you dates and users. So perhaps I'm doing one that one of my colleagues did, I can pull his EGB back, and then you can't adjust an EGB that somebody else has done, so you would then copy that to yourself. So you're not touching theirs, you're doing your own one and then modifying, adding promos and so on. Now you'll also see at the bottom of this somewhere where you can manage solution blueprints. So this is adding blueprints, saving blueprints or opening blueprints. And if we get time, I'll show you that later on today. If we don't worry about it. We'll rearrange this and do another session. Okay, so one more thing I want to show you as well, from those of you who were under the old ASD, if you remember that particular thing, under Home, if you click on that one, on the left-hand side of the menu when it appears in a second, you'll see import RQT. It's about the full thing down on that list there. So if you get somebody who's still got an RQT file, I don't know, perhaps one of the Americas or the Asia Packs or whatever has sent you one, then you can import it that way, save you redesigning the whole thing, especially if it's large, and then that will then create a Avaya OneSource solution for you, and then you can apply your promos and things of that nature. So I'm going to just shut this one down and then go back to the landing page again, select design and then create. So I'm going to fairly quickly design a brand new CM7. We'll just make this easy just for you to have a look. So I'm going to choose my product. Under Communication Manager, as you can see below that, it's got the rest of the models that we can apply to CM. I will go through some of those later, but Communication Manager is where we're going to live. What you can do is pick any one of those. It doesn't matter, it's going to open up the Communication Manager for you. So it doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm going to choose Communication Manager, for obvious reasons, and then select go. Now before I do that, the bits down below, these are tending to be Avaya Blue, the Nortel related stuff. From our point of view in terms of designing a red solution, it doesn't really matter. So I just go into go. It will then pop up a little what we call splash screen, which is, oh, hang on, is it doing it? Come on. Oh yeah, it is doing it. See at the top, you can see a little round blob going around. So then it says, right, is this a new system or an upgrade? I'll do a new one this time. We'll do upgrade on the Nortel one. You can see what's happening on that front. So this is new. I'll just wait for that to populate. Now, on the left-hand side down the bottom here, you'll see a list of items that we'll go through step by step down to the very bottom. But what I'm going to do is ignore the first three, the default summaries, and go straight into platform. And this will change what you see on the big screen in the middle of the screen there. So we'll go straight into platform, and I will choose from my list here what to do with it. Now just go back to that summary as well, default summary, and I'll explain what it's doing. You can probably guess from the questions that are on there, estimated total number of users, how many physical locations will be there, If you were trying to do a ballpark decision for a salesperson, maybe you could use that particular field. It's guessing on the amount of IP-based users, digital-based users, analog-based users. So again, you can pick and choose on that. But to be fair, it's probably just as easy and as quick to go straight into the platform itself. So when I drop the box on my required server, it's going to say, all right, the top 5 there are to do, or top 6 are to do with CM6. Now, CM6 is not on sale, but there is a slight drawback in so much that you now cannot have upgrade advantage on anything other than your communication manager itself. So if you're adding AES or Elite or anything of that nature, it won't let you do it. You've also got the other way to look at it. Most people say, I want the very latest and greatest, so that's all CM7. So as you can see down the bottom there, we've got 4 of them, either a duplex solution or a simplex or an embedded. That's the old AS8300, or now available is the collaboration pod. So from this one, I'm going to choose duplex. I want a CM6 duplex, CM7 duplex design, and it's going to populate a load of things for me. Now, I normally go straight to the bottom 2 and select both of those, the default data switches. I'm not going to provide any of this at this stage. And I'm also going to say, yes, I'm going to do a network readiness assessment. Most of the business partners do that themselves. Certainly don't use Avaya professional services, but that is an option if you choose to do that. Now, in terms of a CM7 solution, we have a choice of 2 methods of providing a quotation to an end user. So we either go full-blown VMware, where you have vSphere as the operating system, management system, and then you got vMotion, snapshots, and so on and so forth. That's if the end user buys all the software and all the servers in order to put all that, and also have all the skills to do it. Now, so from our point of view, in terms of a bill of materials, you'll see a quote for all this as VMware with a 1P license. Half the customers out there haven't got the skills to be able to run VMware. So Avaya provide the servers, but they also provide it on a cut-down version of VMware. So it doesn't have vSphere, it doesn't have Snapshot, it doesn't have vMotion or VMware HA. So you don't really need all those skills for it. And also what Avaya will do is provide the bit of tin, or in this case, the server. But using VMware, I can now put several applications on one server. So you can see that it's chosen there that Avaya is going to provide the server, and it's going to be a shared one. So it's going to start sharing applications with other things. The very next thing down on the list is a utility server. So when a phone first logs on, it wants to know where its settings file is. It gets that from the utility server. So again, I'll put that in, but I'll do that shared. So therefore, it will then appear on the same single or 2 servers, in this case, because it's a duplex model. I don't need to bother filling, CMM. CMM is the old IA770 voicemail communication manager messaging. It is more or less free. Well, not more or less free. It is free in terms of providing a design for that. But it is limited in its size and functionality. Now, with the new core licensing, you get Aura messaging, which is AAM, basic licenses free of charge. So in this case, I need a bit of tin because we don't have the skills. There isn't an AVP version for Aura messaging. There is only tin or VMware. So in that case, I would provide a separate bit of tin, but then that will allow me to give mobility features and will also allow me to upgrade to mainstream licenses and then do speech. So I can then add on to my Aura messaging solution, whereas my CMM solution is a bit limited as to what we can do. So, but either stage, I'm not going to be adding CMM at this stage. You'll see you get the licenses free of charge anyway with it. There's also another box here that's set to yes, multi-packaging of phones. What Avaya have done now is they've decided that if you buy a pack of 4 phones, we'll give you a little bit of discount for doing such a thing, rather than buying singular handsets. When the tool first came out, Avaya never had any of these multiple packs, so you were paying full price for single items. And from a design point of view, we would have said no to this. But we now have all those, so you should now be doing yes in this case. So they're in packs of 4. And just to keep numbers easy, we'll make this be 100 users. So you'll see 25 packs of 4 phones. If you have like 102 phones, you'll see 25 packs of 4 plus 2 singular ones. So the 2 single ones will be at full price, but all the packs will be cheaper. Okay, so some of this stuff I can skip past, like Session Manager. I do not need that for CM7 to work. I do need System Manager, but not Session Manager, so I don't even need to go into that particular field, and then I can go straight to Software. So we'll just wait for that to appear. You have the little whirling screen, and you can see it. Okay, so it's going to give me Core Suite as in terms of licensing. I can't change that now. There used to be a drop-down box for the old Suites version 1 and Foundation Mobility and stuff, but that's all gone now. Additional spare licenses, well, I'm not going to have any. I'm not going to uplift any to power licenses. When we get into AMS, I don't know if we'll have time for that today, but if not, that's where you put the AMS channels in. From going forward. Analog license, if you've got some cheaper licenses that you require for analog use, this marries up to the analog boards that you apply per location, and this will give you a $40 license key rather than a $237 license key. And then you'll see System Manager, sorry, not Session. Now, in terms of a CM7 design, I do need System Manager, and I can pick and choose how that's going to work. Do I want that shared? So again, that'll be another application on the same same servers that I already have. Yeah, I can do that, so I'll do that. Or I can select standalone, but I'll do shared at this point, and then we can see. The minute I select it, it then asks me a question, say, how many users will there be that this is going to run, both in H323 mode and SIP mode. So I know that I'm going to design this for 100 users, so I'll put 100 users in here. And then from a sizing point of view, to find out if this can fit on that one single server, and to give me either a small, a medium, or large server, it's going to use this configuration size to be able to populate that too. So I'll go along with that. I'm not going to add any presence to this. I'm not going to do any Aura multimedia messaging. I'm not going to do any IDE applications. So that's fine. There's going to be no call center on it, so going back to the left-hand side, there's no Avaya Aura contact center elements of it. There's no CTI, no engagement development platform. Okay, but there will be some support. Now, as you know, support is mandatory. You have to have support, but we used to be able to pick and choose with CM6 systems and before SA Essential and or co-delivery. I don't get those options about SA Essential. Quite funnily though, I can select still software support and software support and upgrades, but we'll do preferred on this because that's what there is. What I can do is I can choose whether or not I want 1 year or 3 or 5 years. So I'll do this over 1, and then see this upgrade advantage offering. There is no option. I can't choose anything else. So it's forced. It's mandatory as well. So I have to have SA preferred with CM7 designs. In fact, if I select any of the other ones, it will give me an error. So SA preferred support with or without code delivery, and the upgrade element is forced. I don't have to bother filling in the rest of it, even though it's asking for it. In some cases, it will say required. I'll show you that later. And the support options too is all about AES and all about 1X mobility offerings. This is all included now, but it's all 3 years. Don't worry about it. You will see I've only put 100 users of core in, and that's the only one I've set to 1 year. We'll have a check of our design later. Now, I'll just skip to the next one down, options 1. You can see that it's going to chuck me in a UPS. And I go, no, I don't want a UPS. I'll select that customer provided. And it's going to give me DVDs. And I'll say, no, all software, no matter what it is, you can download from PLDS. There is a bit of a bug in so much that even though I said no to this, it's still going to put in software for me, but nowhere near as much as it would have done if I left it off. Now, SAL is the ability for Avaya to dial in and to be able to get hold of applications, either phones or gateways or cards, and monitor those. So I will need one of those as SAL deployment, and the choices there is, do I want to provide that on its own separate server or VMware, or do I want to do that shared as well? So now I've got 4 applications going on to those servers. So I go, okay, I'll have SAL. I can skip the advanced bit, and I can skip the passwords. And if you guys have got JSD, that's where you put the passwords in. I'll show you that. We'll come back to that later. And then down the bottom, I've got my locations. So I will click Create New Location, create a brand new one for me. This is, so in my mind, I've got a duplex pair of servers that Avaya are providing. It's going to provide me with, in default, a G450. 160. Remember the old ones, or the version 1s of these gateways were 80. The 160 refers to the amount of DSPs on board. So again, you can still only have 320. So what you can do is add another card to this, but I'm not going to at this stage. If I want to make this an LSP, I add it into there. If I want a standalone server, so it's quite large, so that would be your old simplex servers and things. I'm not going to add any of that as well. Input-output cables, so if you add any analog cards to this, or digital cards, for if anybody still buys those, it will put the Amphenol cable in for you. That's what that is. But I'll leave it in default, that's fine. Platform number 2 is, this is quite funny because I think this brings you in the middle of the screen as in you can't see at the top. This is where you would put your session manager, presence and AACC service. You would select all that. We haven't got any of that, but if you go all the way to the top, you will see, sorry, hang on. There you go. You will see that you have a CD-ROM drive. Now, in effect, because you're downloading software, engineers have CDs on their laptops. You don't actually need that. So I'll take that out as well. What I will do is I'll add in an extra power supply for the gateway. Because I've got a duplex CM, I might as well have an extra power supply in the gateway. I'm not going to put any trunks on this because I'm probably going to go SIP. So we'll have a look at some session border controllers on there as well. Platform 3. We'll just have a look at that, and there shouldn't be anything on that for us to fill in. There's no what we used to call ESSs, or survivable remote locations, so I don't need to fill any of that in. So I'll just go straight to the endpoints, then go straight to IP devices number 1. I've got 100 phones required, 100 licenses. So I'll just pick one of the 960G phones, put 100 of those in. You could put the licenses at the top here or on the first screen of the software, but some people like to see licenses on a per location basis so they can see how much the total cost is per site. So again, you can put them in here if you want to, and we'll come across the SIP. We'll change this to SIP in a minute after our design. But anyway, so there we go, 100 users, and I'm not going to bother filling any of the rest of it in. So I just hit configure design. So we'll now wait for the tool to give us green blobs, and there will be 3 of them in a minute. There'll be another one added, which will be our parts replacement section, to which we'll say no to it. But normally what's happened, I'm sure some of you guys are designing quite a bit of this. This is the same, you need to auto attach parts. And you go, yeah, fine and dandy. I'm going to say no, that I don't want any parts. You have to bear in mind, if you set the country, which you'll see on the left hand side of the top section on the menu, if you select the country to, I don't know, somewhere like Sri Lanka or somewhere like that, parts are forced in place like that, in which case you have no choice. If this one's set to UK, in default. So again, I run my design now that I've said no to that. It will now then give me 3 green blobs, which is what I'm after. And ticks. It's quite funny. It's got processing parts, but there aren't any. Don't take too long. There we go. So in terms of pricing, you can see that everything is 0. This is APL, by the way. This is via price list. This is not your buy prices. If you want to see those, then that's the next stage. You'll see at the top left hand side of our menu now we have price reports and exit, and that's where you go to associate this design with your price file. But anyway, let's just have a quick look at this. So I've got 100 users at $275 each. Remember, this is in dollars. All the rest of it's 1p. I've got 13,000 there times 2. What's that for? Oh, that's my servers. 2 of medium servers. And the reason it's medium, you will never see small on a CM design, because the minute you add system manager, it will take you to medium because of the size of it. Could scale all the way up to 36,000 users. So it'll always be medium. You can see small if you choose not to run those with multiple applications on the same server. So if you're just running CM on it and nothing else, then you'll be able to run those as small servers, and you'll see those if when we get time to have a look at those. Below that, you'll see an Avaya virtual platform dual CPN. I don't think anybody knows what CMN stands for, but basically this is the royalty that we charge to VMware. Now obviously we've got 2 servers, hence there are 2 costs for it. Remember, this is Avaya providing the tin, and the VMware royalty charge applies. And the other road, you won't see that because obviously you're going down the VM road and the customer is supplying all the VMware licenses. The servers themselves require some NIC cards, additional NIC cards, so you'll see 2 of those. And this is what I get asked quite a bit, is the power cords. If you have a look at that one I've just highlighted there are 4 power cords. So those servers have got dual power supplies in them already. So that's how you tell whether or not the servers have got dual power cords. Now below that you'll see another one, because I added dual power cords for the server itself, the gateway, and you can see I've got an extra power supply for that. And you can see that there have got packs on there as well, 25 packs now for the phones. So bear that in mind as well. Now, do you remember the bit that I mentioned that it doesn't quite take all the DVDs and software out? The more locations you create, so if you create 10 locations, you will see 10 lots of media kits, DVDs and CDs at the princely sum of $250. Which can equate to quite a few. The one I did recently were equated to 11.5 grand. So you can see there was a bit of design adjusting that had to be done. Now, if you have a look at the software support element of it, you'll see there's my 100 users. I've got SA preferred software, and it's for 12 months because that's what I selected. And you can see that I've got an upgrade section for that at 2. And then the VMware royalty fees, it charges you also for those as well from an upgrade point of view as well. So that is something to have a look at from there. So in effect, all we got is a pair of servers and 1 gateway. Now, something else I want to draw your attention to is on the left-hand side, something called configuration report. So I'm just going to bring this up. And what we do is we go halfway down, because what we're looking for is what's actually on those servers. And that's what AVP stands for, by the way, if anybody does ask. Most people say it's Avaya, but it stands for Application Virtual Platform instead. So you can see at the top what I've got. I've got Communication Manager times 2. I've got Utility Services. I've got SAL. and I've got System Manager. Now that's all I need for this CM7 system to work, and you can see that it's spread over 2 medium servers. The reason it's done that is because I've selected Communication Manager Duplex. So I've got a pair of servers, and on that split servers, you'll see that the applications on the top one, I'll just highlight those for you, are those ones. I've got the AVP platform itself, then I've got one of the communication managers and one of the utility services. The one below, so it's the same things below, has got slightly more on this one. I have got, in this case, again, the AVP. I've also got the utility services. I've got the SAL, which I haven't got on the other one. Okay, fair enough. And I've got System Manager, because also that's, and I've only got one of those. But what's new is the bit below, so it tells you what the vCPUs and the CPUs are used in terms of those particular servers. So I think at that stage, I think we're in a position to then say, right, I'm happy with that now. I will now go and take this across to see if I can get pricing, which will then be sent on to the sales guys to have a look at those. So I'm just going to take this to the next logical step, is taking this out to a design. Now, the first thing I want to do is probably, first thing I'll tell you what it's doing first of all. So first of all, it's generating the reports, and then it will do something called a validation check. Now this is it checking to see if you've selected JSD support. If you have selected JSD support, it's checking with its system in the background, or JSD as code delivery, to find out whether or not you're telling the truth. Have you actually got that discount or not? If it passes that, oh, sorry, you won't get this bit about business partner. We do as a distribution, so ignore that bit and go along. You'll see that it says, quote, validation successful, even though I haven't picked any users, any business partners. So I now check one, do my generic. I'll do an authorized reseller on this one. I'll also give it a name, so CM7 100 users. And then select update at the bottom, and it will then go through that validation check again to find out, right, now you've selected what BP is, I'll go and check their validation. Now you won't have to go through that particular bit at the beginning, but this bit, once you've selected who you are, it will then go and check your JSD credentials on your behalf. If you get errors, you need to find out what the reports are and go in and change those particular bits, because people might have, as I've had in the past, will tell fibs. Okay, so there's a question. Are these VPOs also shown if you've chosen of customer provided VMware? I don't think they are, but I'll just have a quick look at those in a minute. I very much doubt that, actually, because it's sizing to do with AVP, but we'll have a look, because I'm doing a VMware one next, so we'll have a bunch of those. So there we go. There's our design done by me. Today's date. It's ready to order. This is the key thing. You need to make sure any design is ready to order, even if the JSD password has changed or something's gone over the 30 days, but it's under 60 days. If it still says ready to order, then you can still purchase it. And then down at the bottom, you can tell that you're in the right account, because you get your buy from in Westcon if you have those facilities, if you have dedicated price files. Otherwise, you'll just see the Avaya price list, and then we send out an email that has our FX rates on every single month, so you'll be able to see what it should be, and then download either via Excel. Normally you would do the Excel, but I'm going to do these via HTML. So there's no downloading of price files. It's just going to documentation here. It's just going to open this up via the web. Then we can see. We have another spinning wheel, so bear with us 1 second. There we go. So I'm just going to bring that up. So There it is, and there's your buy price in pounds this time. Okay, this is all pounds. That's good. So, is there any questions with regard a new design? I'll show you how to apply promos and things on the next slides, but not when we do the upgrade section. I won't do it on this one. Are we all good? Okay. So I'm going to shut that down because we're not going to use the same one. We're going to use a different one. So I'm just checking the time I'll be doing. So it's 35 minutes. So I'll move slightly quicker then. Create. So this time we're going to be choosing an upgrade. Communication manager. We have a spinning wheel, so we're just waiting. There we go. Upgrade. By the way, if you click anything while you've got the spinning wheels, there's a very good chance it will crash. So I normally typically advocate saving along the road with this, and I would do that quite often. But anyway, right, let's move on a bit quicker. Okay, so this time we're doing a Heritage Nortel design. So as you can see, you've got a whole list of CM ones if you're doing a CM upgrade, but this one's a Nortel one. I'm choosing that it's going to be a CS1K. I'll go skip past Session Manager and go into Software. And here I'll tell it how many licenses I've got. So we're going to say, all right, okay, so I've got 1,000 licenses on my CS1K. I want to bring them all across. It doesn't matter whether they're enhanced or premium, the cost is the same. Software support, number 2. Do we have an upgrade contract in place? Now, Pass and Pass Plus. Pass is like our SS, and Pass Plus is like the SSU of old, which so if you select Pass Plus, you'll get the upgrades then included. There are 2 prices. There is somebody without, and this applies to CM as well, if they don't have a contract in place, you will charge them $85 per seat of migration licenses or upgrade licenses. The same would apply to the Nortel side of things. You will charge them $85. If they do have a contract in place, as in this Pass Plus, you will see that you can then move them at $25. The same as if you're doing CM for version 5.2.1, if they've got a contract in position already, it will charge them $25 instead of the $85. But at this stage, this is a ballpark figure. I'm going to say, no, I haven't got any. I don't know what they've got. Meanwhile, go off either via the SMT tool and find out what contracts they have and for how many users. At the minute, I'm taking this as read from a call center, from a salesperson's point of view. So I'm going to go into existing contact center AACC1. Now, they haven't got an AACC, which is version 6. What they have got is an old Heritage Nortel, like a Symposium or something of that nature. So I'll pop that in. They definitely got one of those. What type of software is it? Well, there's only a choice of Enterprise, so I put that in. If they haven't got Enterprise, you'll see that listed from the blue KRS elements of it, in which case they'll be charged full price. But otherwise, if they have got something Enterprise, what type of protections in place for that particular element? Again, that could have different software variants to that, but in the same case, I'm going to say none. Software only DVD, can't change that, so no choice there. And AACC system type. Is it voice only or is it voice and multimedia? You tend to find on CS1Ks, and certainly of older versions of call center, is typically voice only. So I've now said, all right, this is what I've got. So it's now asking me, well, in which case, how many total users have you got? 25? Oh, I don't like, I'll make it 50. Yeah, 50 licenses, why not? And I'll say, out of the 50, they're all voice. And I'll also have 5 supervisors because it runs the old 10-to-1 ratio. They're not using PBOB, they're not using agent greetings or offsite agents. So I'm just going to leave it at that stage. I'm also having a look at AAC number 2, which will detail all the HA abilities as well for me. This in default is set to no, so I'm going to say, right, I haven't got any of those. So I then go into my existing support options 1 and 2, no I won't, because they'll all be empty as well. And then go straight to target. Target platform. I'll just wait for that spinning wheel to happen. So again, it defaults to a CM6 solution. You go, no, it's all right, I'll go to CM7. And you'll see that it was simplex as well. So it's now going to an AVP solution. So providing Avaya providing the tin, and we're going to duplex. In the same manner, I'm going to start sharing applications and take out customer and customer on the 2 design options for the default data switches and the networking test. Put the Paxophones on. So that's, from that point of view, I'm still happy. Because this is AACC, and because we're moving from an AML solution to straight across, I need to add a session manager to this. Right? Does the customer want a session manager? Yes, they do. Right? And you'll see that here we used to be able to put in how many and what type and where and all the rest of it. We don't have any of that information now. It's all done on the location side of things. There is a question about CS1K at the bottom. CS1K, Session Manager 7, how many instances are required? Now, call center, you might deem this to be duplex on the system, so therefore it should be duplex in terms of its SIP control. In this case, I'm just going to put 1 in. Target software, 1. CM7 designs require System Manager, so I will need to go and specify System Manager for this, which again I'm not going to add anything at the top, but if I go down to System Manager, you'll see that it's required, and I'm going to share it with what they already have. It wants to know how many users. Well, remember, I've got 1,000, right? So I need to put 1,000 in now. I'm not going to add any presents or any of the other items on that list. I go to my target support because I can skip straight past the rest of it. Oh no, tell a lie, we'll go back to AACC2 because I think in default it's going to say you want HA for everything. So I'll just go back to that in a second. So we're just having a look on there, and it's all set to SA preferred, and this is set to 3 years. I'm just going to leave all these in default. So we're going to go to AAC2 and no doubt take off all the high availability options for this. So I'll just click on it again. Oh yeah, there we go. There you go. Oh no, it's left them all blanks. Target AACC1. Okay. Let's have a look. I bet in here it's not actually added anything. No, 6.4 required. Okay, so what version are you going to? Well, I'm going to just upgrade what they have to the latest. As you can see from the drop-down box, I can choose to do multimedia. Perhaps we're going to be adding multimedia on at this stage, but I'm not. I'm just going to do voice. It's just at the bottom there, you can see that it's just upgrading the same 50 users and supervisors with no options. Now if we go into AAC2, the high availability options, you can see that it's added them all, so I'm going to turn them all off and say they haven't got high availability at the minute, so we don't need any, so it's happy with that. Okay, now you also say that I need to create a location. In the same manner that I did before. I don't need to go into existing because it's CS1K, it goes straight to target. Target location 1. In the same vein that I did before, I'm going to say, right, G450s, power supply, get rid of the CD-ROM drive. G450s. Platform number 2. is where I do the power supply, but what I also see down the bottom is where I select my session manager. So I'll do that in a second. So no, I don't want any CD. Yes, for an extra power supply. Yes, for a session manager and shared. How many of those will there be? Well, it can be up to 2,500 devices, because we have this multiple device access now, don't we? Whereby a user, as in Steve Scott, could have up to 10 different applications all logged on at the same time. So which one is he going to be using? So I could have 1,000 times 10 licenses. So I could have 10,000. So I could be looking at this one down the bottom. But I'm going to say, no, I haven't got any of those. I've got no more than 2,500 users. I'll have that. If you had multiple instances of Session Manager and you were sharing, you might want to answer that question there. Quantity of Session Manager instances that cannot share the same server with another instance, as in you could have 2 Session Managers on the same server, which is okay for resilience. You might have trunks on one, users on another one. If that server goes down, it doesn't really matter so much. But if you're designing it from a HADR point of view, you don't want them co-residing on the same server. So I'm not going to choose anything on that point of view. In terms of Platform 3, again, there's no ESS or survivable core on this particular site. So if you were doing a data center, for example, with 2 of them, then this is where you would select a duplex pair of servers on this particular site. Now, because it's AACC, we need some AES elements of it. And now I shall talk about the AES bits as well when this comes up. Now obviously we have CM7. Things are somewhat slightly different to what we used to have from a CM6 point of view. So I'll just wait for that to pop up. There we go. So I'll choose this to be in CM7 particular role. And you can see on the right hand side I can choose what it's going to be. So if I do this shared again, it will populate it on the same batch of servers that I have previously. What I also have to do is choose the CPU profiles. So profile, if you download the offer def for CM7, you'll see a section on profiles, not just with regard to AES, but with regard to Session Manager, System Manager, and so on. But as I typically understand at the minute, under 500 sessions would be a profile 1 particular user. If I want to use this new feature called GRHA, as in have 2 AESs, both sharing the load between them, and should one go off air, the other one kicks in, I can say, yeah, I'll have one of those as well. So if I do that, what it will do is give me 2 AES servers instead of 1. Previously, you would have had to design a separate location for all. If you wanted 4 AESs, you had to create 4 locations. And then answer the question at the bottom. So you've selected GRHA. Where is the other AES server? In effect, is what it's asking. So this is what we call a north to south AES. So this is in one location with 2 AES servers, both physically shared on separate boxes. But I'll have a look at those in a minute when it's done this. And because this is Avaya, I don't need to fill in any licensing down the bottom here. Now, there will be a question with regard trunks and IP. And you'll see, and this is all to do with SIP trunks. AACC uses 3 SIP trunks per user. So in this case, it should be asking us for something around about the 150 mark. What I tend to do is not bother to fill any of this in and run it, and see what the error is, because the error will tell you how many SIP trunks it needs. So we'll just let this continue. There's an error, and I'm hoping it's probably not just the SIP trunks, there's probably other ones. No, it is. There's not enough SIP trunks, but you see right at the very bottom it says, I need 175 of them. Okay, now these are only a penny anyway, but it does affect the resources on the gateway. So we'll have a look at that. I'll just put, we're in, no, we'll be in a second. Back into trunks and then IP. It was 175, so we'll put those in a second. Oh, let's create a new location. Oh no, hang on. So I'm glad I've done this. I just accidentally clicked on the create new location button. So we'll just go into this and we'll manage locations and I'll delete those two off. And you can see how we do that. So click one, select delete when that disappeared. What's a bit annoying is that it doesn't actually, oh, it does this time. Delete them. What you used to do in the previous version, you would hit delete and they would still be there, like that one is. But if you go into target, then down the bottom, so if you go off the screen, you'll see that it's only got one location now, even though it's showing two on the screen there. So physical location 1, and then we'll go into those chunks and make sure we put in 175 to get rid of that error. The IP, there we go, 175. Then we get total, and then we go down to SIP trunks and put 175 in there because it wants to know where these trunks are, whether it's tie trunks or a split bearer trunks. And then I'll configure that design again. And then hopefully that error will be gone. Okay, and there is another one, so I'll have a look and see what that is. At location 3. Location 3, we've still got one. Glad this is doing for you. Manage location. Still says it there even though it's not showing it. Delete. Yeah, it's gone now. Configure. And away we go. Come on, give me a tick, therefore no errors. Just thinking about it, we've got a tick. And then what it'll do is it'll ask me for the maintenance parts as well to be attached to this design. And what I'm also going to do is save this on this screen, so you can see where I saved it on the previous screen. But let's say this has got more and more locations to be added. This is going to be my DR data center number 1. I now need to add another one, and then loads of locations. I'll be saving this as I go, but we'll just do this one on here, set none on that, design it, and then that should give me my 3 blobs I'm looking for. So in essence, this is an old Nortel CS1K that's been migrated to an Avaya Red solution. It's AVP, and they've also got us Imposing, which I've brought across as well and upgraded that to voice in the same way that with no HA. I've not added anything new to it. So you can see that there's, if I just go down the cost elements to it, it's decided that because I've added a session manager to my design, which I need for AACC to work anyway, that's going to be bunging in an actual SBC bit of tin for me. I don't know whether you want to leave that in or not. It's up to you. But this one's an Avaya AVP solution. So we are providing tin, so maybe I'll leave that in, or I could just change it to VMware. Either way, you can see that the core licensing that is going to give me below, if I have a look at these odd numbers that are on there, is going to give me, I'll just highlight those, that one standard, 286 trunks for nothing. and also it's going to give me them in a HA format as well. Now obviously I won't be able to use the HA format because the port bar doesn't support HA, but in terms of standard licensing, I've got 286 trunks that I might well be using. I haven't added any E1s to this design. I've got 1,000 users, but possibly they're lightly used. I've got 50 users in terms of my call center, so it might well be enough. So they're the ones that are moved from at $85. The reason it's $85 is because they don't have a current support contract in position. If they did, then that would be $25. Again, if I go down to the bottom, I can see that there are 2 medium servers and a small one. So we can have a look at those 2. I'll also see that I've got a CMN to match them. So this is my VMware licenses. There's my one for my big servers, and there's my one for my small servers. Remember I didn't select don't take out a UPS on this one, so it's added one for me. So I need to go and take that out if I don't want it. Again, it's put all the DVDs and media kits in, all the DVDs and thumb drives and all the rest of it, which I might want to go back into my solution and have a look at those. Then I have my gateway. In default, it will chuck one gateway in, right? There's been no real design considerations there, is there, has there? Because I've got 1,000 users, and if this was a fairly high usage, or well, let's put it another way, I have only got 160 DSPs in use for them all. So if that was SIP trunks coming in and these were H323 users and call center was busy all the time, I might not have anywhere near enough DSPs. You might also want to consider the fact you've only got one gateway. Perhaps you'll be going, no, actually with that amount of users I might want 2 or 3 or 4 gateways and choose accordingly. Or you can design it, select the traffic and go into the traffic elements of ASD and actually tell it, and it will then work it out. But you need to know the BHCCs and how many people are busy on the phone all at the same time. And then you got down the bottom is all the software support elements of this as well. So you can see the chargeable bits start at the 36 months because I've done 3 years on this. There's my my 2 servers, there's my single server, there's my 1,000 users, and there's my GRA HA licenses. There is no call center licenses on this, which is you might consider to be odd, because then how have you got support going forward on this? What we have done is used the ASIP bundle, which you'll see, where is it? ASIP bundle for my 50 users. There's my ASIP bundle for my 1,000 users. Then I'll see an ASIP bundle. Shout if anybody can see it before I get to it. For my 50 users coming across, but there's no cost for them anyway. Hang on, it's not down there. No, it might be at the. Now that would be a question. I'll be asking that question of Avaya to say where is my support going forward for my Aura contact center. We'll come back to that one. Okay, do we have any questions before I tweak this and then go and add to a promo from Stuart? What if existing AACC has dialogue ports or announcement ports? Can these be migrated over? Yes, they can. If you go into the existing AACC target, Communication Manager, in fact, we'll do that whilst we're tidying this up as well. Now, these announcements and dialogue ports are additional to that of the users. So AACC1 as existing, this is where you put those in dialogue ports And announcement ports, I'll just put them 50. Let's say we've got an extra 50 of both, then that would bring those over. What I'll also do is I'll go into target options 1 and I'll change the DVDs and the powers and the UPS whilst we're at it. And then configure that design. So this time it will give me 3 green blobs because we've been through all the way through this. In terms of time wise, that's good. I've got 12:30, so we've got another half an hour. So we'll have time to apply a promo and look at the blueprints bit. What I'll probably do is do the blueprints section now. The idea of blueprints, whilst we're waiting for this, the idea is you do a design and then say, you know, this is one I'm using quite often. So I want to save it to something called the Avaya calling a blueprint. And then every time I need to do a design that is based upon that, I can then open that blueprint and then create a design from it and then modify it. So that's what we'll be doing after this. So, in fact, I didn't add the thing, so you wouldn't see anything in there. But there's my announcement ports and my my dialogue ports. Where are they already? Should be on there. No, what did I add? Devices or devices announcements? Yeah. So yeah, I didn't add anything to it, but yes, Stuart. The answer is yes. You can add more to this. Okay. So we'll take it on that side, and then what I'll do is I'll save my design first of all. Now this is 1000 CS1K to CM, and do OK. So, and what you'll do is you'll now see this at the top of the screen here, where previously that was blank. So it has got a name that's been saved, but this is only from a bill of materials point of view. This is not from a blueprint point of view. So what I'll do now is I'll select blueprint and I'll save it as a blueprint. Now, as you'll see when mine comes up, there's quite a few of them. Now, you can choose there whether you want a particular model. So if it was just the AVP bit that you want to save, you could select that, but I'm going to select solution. I want this to be a whole lot, and this is CS1K to CM. I'm not going to put 1,000 users because it might not be 1,000 users when I modify it, but it's a 2 CM7 actually. I'll do that, put a 7 on the end of that as well, and then highlight all that, Control C, Control V. Do I want to allow that? Yes I do. And then save down here. I've got back to config or save. So I do save. It will then say saved as a blueprint. Right. Then what I'm going to do is shut everything down. Right. I don't have any internet open whatsoever. So I now log back on. Select my Avaya, eBizu. Go down the single sign-on road. Oh. And I get back to this screen. Now, this is fine. I go down to the A1S configurator and go right to the bottom, Managed Solution Blueprints. That's an easier word to say. Blueprint. Depending on your brews. Brew, but I need a cup of tea, and that's what it is. And here I'm going to say ones I've owned or shared. I won't go into shared. I'll let you guys have a look at that. You can see other people's designs in there, so I would just have a look at owned at this stage, and then do search at the bottom. So these are solutions that are owned by me, and you can see I use these quite a lot, right? For adding to Foundation or AACC one user and CM Forward, and you'll see the one I've added is right at the very end. CS1K to CM7. I open that design up. And it says, well, what do you want to do then? Do you want to delete it, save it, modify it, whatever? No, create a design from this. So this will then give you a different EGB number and take you back into that design in the modification stage. And when it's finished, it should all be green because I've just done it. When it comes up, still all green. I then can go into my pricing, have a quick look at that, and go, oh yeah, I remember, 50 seats of course center moved across. There's my own. Oh, right, okay, yeah. Everything the same as it was. I can go back to my design, so that will take me back into this actual design itself. You'll see that it doesn't have a name as well. A save name that I had before, but I'll just go into maintenance whilst I'm in it, and I'll do parts next business day on this. And it's a 3-year design, so that's fine. Configure the design, and away go. So I'm adding parts to this design. So the maintenance has failed. I wonder why. I need to go into existing coverage. So this is an upgrade, so therefore it wants to know what parts placements you have in position. And what we do is we do that under default summary 3. You'll see that on the left hand side down the bottom there. Select default summary 3. It will then go through the options that we have that are available to our parts. In this case it's only communication manager. I'll select none because I haven't got any part support at all, and configure it again. It will then should give me 2 green blobs straight away because I haven't modified any of those. Go straight into the maintenance services element. And it's now green. It will take me to the APL. No change on the top section. Parts will be right at the bottom. There's the parts for my CM medium servers. And there you go, and my gateway as well. Parts for the whole lot. There's a couple of things I want to get rid of predominantly, is the DVDs and things. To do that, you go into select design adjust, do OK. And then go down to where the DVDs and the media kits are. So get rid of the media kit, DVDs. Oh, there's the SBC, I'll keep that one in. I'll just get rid of those 3. Delete. You sure? Yes, I am. Save that, and then exit. And that will take me back to the actual design, which does not have the CDs and things on it anymore. There's one there for AACC. Again, you can get rid of that one as well. That's to another 200 quid. But again, you can download that from PRES. So I don't have a name in terms of my description. So again, I'll save my design. This is CS1K with parts. Parts next business. All right, business day. Save. And you can see that it's added it to the top. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the fact that about this ASIP. ASIP is a mechanism, what Avaya calling a program, which is the ability for you to migrate licenses across at a reduced rate, either $25 or all of this $85 in this case, rather than the full $275 that we had before. What this also allows me to do, because I'm doing an upgrade, is also add a promotion to that as well. So that's the bit I want to have a look at next. Now, to get to promotion, I need to exit this design. So I'm happy as it is at the minute. So I just need to pull this off now and go to an actual pricing element and see the promotion eligibility bit. And we'll see what there is. ASIP, keep getting asked about that. What does that actually mean? Avaya Software Investment Protection Program, or policy, as some people want to call it. But either way, that's what ASIP stands for. So we're just going to wait for this to nearly finish. Done. Again, I'll have to, because I'm a disty, I'm going to have to say which BP this is first and run this validation check again. But I'll do that in a second. Okay. Pop up. There's the name that we gave it previously, so that's appeared as well. And this is generic. Oh, better spell that, right? G-N-E-R-I-C. Authorized read. Ah. Finger trouble. There we go. Thank you. So I've finally done it. And you'll see that the promotions tab is not there because I haven't selected who this is for and what it is yet. Now that I have and do update the check for promotions tab, which is now renamed, by the way. It's not called that anymore, but we know where it is. Check for promotions and programs. That should be listed after it's done its check against JSD. Now, in this case, there isn't one, so it'll pass. But it still has to go through that process. Checking validation, here we go, and it's successful, CS1K, blah, blah, blah. And now we got the check for automated discounts, probably automated because I'm pressing the button. I don't think there's much automation anywhere else. And then it goes off to a separate server where all the programs and promotions live. And what it will do is it will then bring you back to the promotion that we're going to be able to use here. Now this is engaged now, and see that level 1. It's an auto-based migration only, or there is an engaged now level 1, which is not giving you as much discount from a non-Nortel based migration. You can also click on the promotion details and it will take you to the Avaya promotions tab on their website for you to then have a read of what it is that this promotion applies to. So this is going to give me 16 grand's worth of discount. I'll have that, thank you very much, and do apply. But as you can see, that was on level 1. So I want to see if I can push this to level 2 in a minute, but we'll have a look and see just what is produced from this design, how we apply that. More water, please, Vicar. Thank you very much. So we're just waiting for this promotion to be applied. As you can imagine, there's quite a few line items, so it has to go through all those. But it's now done, and you can see that here it tells me that I've got the promotion description is engaged now level 1 Nortel-based migration for anything that's over 100,000 list in dollars, which is what we're at. So I'll just go to the bottom, and promotions are applied in dollars, which is a bit of a pain in the bottom, and we also produce pounds for this generic reseller. So what I'll do then is I'll just bring down that promotion, and then we'll open it up. I'm going to bring this down in Excel so we can see the two options available there. The Excel one does show you slightly more in terms of its usability and its friendliness in terms of costing, but in terms of the way it's presented. We'll just have a look for a minute. It shouldn't take that long because it's only got one location. Obviously, the more locations, the longer this can take. Okay, I'm just going to open it. I'm not going to bother saving this. Now, if we just go all the way to the bottom of this, I'm just going to, because that's the bit we're really interested in. It's showing you on the right hand side here, which is the column O. I'll just highlight it. It's got $16,000 worth of discount to come off of your buy from in Westcon dollars, which is that one that says 168,000. So the cost of the end user is still the same, but you're getting £16,000 worth of discount off of that. So I don't know, it's 150, 145-ish, thereabouts. And then you convert that into pounds. But we haven't quite finished yet, because what we're getting is 5 points worth of discount. So what I'm just going to do is I'll bring you up a little spreadsheet. So we're looking at this Engage Now promo. And you can see that we're over 100 grand, but you can see on there that there's a level 1 and a level 2. These are general rules of thumb. Somewhere around about the 7% mark, or 7 points of discount is where we should be. This is the Engage Now. But the level 2 will take us to somewhere around 12. So there's 5 points difference of discount there. So let me just go back to my design. And we'll scrap this. So if you remember that figure, who's good at sums, Steve? You remember that 5.23? That's what discount we were getting, 5.23. What I will do is I'll then go up to this and modify that design, because I want to show you something else. If you go into the offer definition for the promotions, remember I showed you on that thing, you can click on the link, which will then take you to the promotions bit. And I'll just skip past, because I tend to make a note of these. These are the same with new Aura ones. You get 11% worth of discount, depending on what you're adding. But this is on the list, which is a 3500 data one. I need 192 ports on my design. So I'll just go back to my design and I'll piece part these in. So material code. Would you want to allow this? Yes I do. Search material. It's found it. I populate that and I'll say these are 48 port switches, so obviously I need 4 of them, and that will give me the 192 ports I need. Save and return. And what it's done is it's added those 4 at the bottom of my design. I then go into my pricing as before. So as you can see, at bottom right hand side, you can just about see it dark grey there. $8,780. You know, it's added worth of kit. 9 grand's worth of kit. Let's call it that. 9 grand. £9 grand worth of kit. Da, da, da. Come on, 1 of 2. Get on to 2 of 2. There we go, 2 of 2, providing. Now I'll do it as validation again, because you basically every time you change something, this process needs to be gone through. It's nearly done on its validation. There we go, and then we can go all the way down to the check for promotions and discounts. I'll then give you a new list, because we should be at level 2 now. There we go. So you can see that level 1 was £16,000 worth. Level 2 is 27 grand. The difference between the two is in excess of 10, so it's 11. I'm getting another £2,000 worth of discount by adding some kit I'm probably not going to use. Yeah. So again, you can see that I'm getting more discount, which takes me down to a lesser value than I had before I started this. Plus, you might want to use that for some other bits of kit, or you might want to start offering some data offerings to that end user and say, you know, because of this, you know, I can now give you a really good price on these bits of tin. Yeah. And then I go back out again. So definitely worth looking at is when you see level 1s, try and get them to level 2s. Have a look at the price difference. You might find out it's slightly more beneficial. I have tried with some other units like XT4300s from a Scopia point of view, but they cost more. So there is another smaller box, but at least that one's usable. It doesn't have the power supply with it on that particular one, but there are others. They're in the same format. What I tend to do actually is I'll just pop back up to the bit with the name, and I copy that, Control-C the name, and then go down to that, price in dollars, pounds, 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 do an Excel, and then when this comes up with save, I'll just tack that on the end with Control-V, and that's you got the EGB and the name of your design, so you got a rough idea of what it is, or certainly if the salesman has anyways, what it is you've designed for him. And it's, come on, there we go. So I do File, Save As, there's my EGB, and then I do space and Control-V, tack it on the end. Going to stick it in my folder I've done quite a few designs for as well. And there's the correct now. It's got, look at line 23, it's now got the level 2 migration on it as well. Under description, line 19 there is the name that you supplied. At the very top will be line 3 will be the actual EGB number that you need. So it's all in one place. It goes down per location as well, physical location. Again, if you want to go into Location Manager, you can change the names of Swansea, Ireland, Paris, whatever, each location, and they would all be listed separately. In this case, there's only one location, so you'll see that this one is called still physical location 1, but it's called service. So this is the one with all the SA and the parts as well to go with that main location above. And down below, you'll see that I've gone up. Because of it doesn't give discount to everything, it's saying that you're now getting on average 8.7%, and we had 5.3 before, so we're getting more discount. And again, you'll see that the 27 grand comes off the 173, and then that 122 then gets converted, because that's your pounds, by whatever the new figure is and the FX rate is, and down to, well, yes, there we go. So I just want to have a look, briefly have a look at my notes. Did we cover everything that I wanted to try and cover today? I know this is part 1 of it. Oh, by the way, note for you as well, I did make a note of that. If we're doing a new promotion, the list price for it is 50 grand minimum. So you got to start at 50 grand. Typically that means around about 300 users to get to that 50 grand in terms of list. Below that, we're probably looking at maybe an API Office solution, or again, if you're looking at other items, you're probably going to be over at messaging and so on and so forth. So in terms of my design now, I'm happy with that. So we're 8 minutes ahead of schedule. What I will do is I'll add session border controller onto my design here. Not a session border controller or a messaging, because we get those free anyway. Remember, I said right at the beginning, when it comes to CM7, you have a choice of either going down the AVP road, as in Avaya provides the bit of tin, or you go down the pure VMware road. Both are based on VMware, but one's cut down version, so that's the AVP solution. So what I'll need to do to this is add a new model to this and basically create a 4th icon. So what I'll do is I'll select add a new model, I'll select messaging from the list, I'll do a new system because that's effectively what it is. I'll wait for that to design, I'll select Aura messaging from my list here, launch it. Going briefly into the support options, in default it should be preferred to match that of what's on the switch. However, I can change this because there is no AVP solution, and because we're still on version 6.3 and not 7. I could, if I wanted to, have SA Essential on this. I'm just going to show you how that's done. And that's what I'm telling you, I've got it on the switch. There's no real checking that goes on there to find out whether it is or not. And I'm going to say I want 1 year on that one, and it will match down the bottom what that is. I go into the General tab. You can see that it's 6 and 7's not there. So I go into my new location, create a new location. Let's say that the customer is dipping his toe into VMware, doesn't want to do it for the rest of his voice application just yet. So I'll choose VMware for this one. How many users have we got of mainstream? Well, just the one, because that's the minimum I can have. I can't have any less than that. I'll do 1,000 because that's what I get free with Core. So it says, well, in that case, you want 1,001, and then right down the bottom, how many mailboxes do you want? So I'll do 1,001 mailboxes. Oh no, 10,000? No, 1,001 mailboxes. I don't have to fill any of the rest of it in, and just configure that. So what that will do is give me a one user, chargeable one user, 1,000 users of Core. But I didn't say that I wanted that I've got 1,000 users of Core. So it will give me a full cost for these users. And when that's done, we'll just show that in APL format, and you can see where it's done. And then I'll show you how to configure those so that they're free as part and parcel of the bundled licensing we have. So all I'm expecting to see is one cost for one user, and nothing for the rest. So I'll just wait for this to finish. Done. Configure model. There we go. Tick, tick. But this time I'm going to blobs. There we go. There's my 4 green blobs, and there you can see my cost. So I've got 1,000 1C basic new. Well, I get that free. Look, if you have a look at the 1,000, there it is. Core R7 message basic E. It's got an E. It's an entitlement. It's free of charge. All right. In that case, then, well, let me go back into my design, because I don't want to see a cost for all these users. I'll launch my messaging solution again. Go into my location, which is where I've got my messaging solution for this particular site, and then see these top 2 boxes here are power and core licensing you've got. Well, I'm going to tell it I've got 1,000 users of core licensing anyway. Do I want to uplift any of this? No, I don't. No? So I'll just configure. So I'll just leave it as is. So basic licensing will give you straightforward voicemail, but it'll also give you IMAP as well. So I'll be able to see voicemails and email and vice versa. This is more of a unified messaging approach. So if you delete from one, you'll see it deleted in the other. Whereas CMN, Communication Manager Messaging, won't do that, or delete from one to the other. It does have, I say won't do that, it does have some IMAP support, but it is some IMAP support. So it may do it, it may not do it. It's not for everybody, whereas this does. So I'll just wait for that to configure again. And you'll see on that on this time round, it's got a chargeable cost for the one user. But I have 1,001 mailboxes. So I'll just design that. There we go. There's my one user, and I've got 1,001 mailboxes right at the very top there. Below that, and then obviously one user of support, because the ones that are here are included with the support for my 1,000 users. There is, sorry. Yeah. There's my pref and my core. And that was it. One more. You have changed in Avaya OneSource configurator like you could do with ASD. Yes, there is. This one hasn't had any. Oh, yes, it has design adjustments. Yes. So one question was about the design adjustment side of things. If I go into Communication Manager, because we did change something there. So I just want to show you what that is. If you go down to the location itself. Ooh. Oh, it's not here. It's where it used to be. Sorry, my fault. If you go into, hang on, the location itself, try and remember it is.
Design adjust.
Yeah, no, it's up there. I just saw it. That's where it is now. I'm trying to think where it moved to. So you go into the design adjust a particular field, because that's where things have taken place. That's where changes would be. Oh, hang on. It's not designed, that's why. Hang on. Oh. Sorry, we changed something. I just need to go into this configurator again so we can see what's happened. Come on, thank you. Come on, maintenance services, go on with it. Go on. There we go, we have a tick, done. Okay, configuration. So again, this time you go into design adjust and you'll see, is it sure you want to do that? Yes. And on the top right hand side, you'll see a box. When it's done, here you go, tracking report. So that tells you what happened on the last iteration of it, and you can see only on this one we just deleted 3 items, but you can see from that point of view what has been added, changed, and things as you go along. Does that answer your question? There we go. Okay. Well, I think with all that, I've got a knock on the door saying get out. So. I trust everything's happy, and we'll see you on the next one. With that, I'll close the bridge. Thank you very much.